Immersive Gaming Rooms. And then we're going to have a panel discussion. We're going to do a deep dive into them, and we've got, I think, some interesting speakers joining us. So
thank you very much for the opportunity to present here to the audience. It's really nice to see the passion about VR. I am a specialist in immersive out-of-home entertainment. That's what I've been doing for the majority of my career since I got out of arcade in the microcomputer sector. And to be blunt, we are at the cusp of a brand new application of technology. Now, I had to say this, about 10 years ago when VR had its second bloom of opportunity into the location-based entertainment market. So, 100 years ago, over 100 years ago, a New York arcade existed where you could see what became the film industry. And it is that kind of early technology application that then leads to a general application that we need to be mindful of. It doesn't mean the technology that we have developed in front of us, presented in front of us, is going to be the final iteration, the profitable system, but it is leading down a pathway. And I personally am a fan of all things immersive entertainment, but I have to also be mindful that not all technologies are perfect for our application. VR has been a roller coaster of pain and anguish and enjoyment for many. Many individuals' first experience of virtual reality entertainment has been in our industry, not in the consumer industry, not buying a console version, not buying a Sony or a Meta, but actually in our facilities. But VR is not the be-all and end-all for what we need in the entertainment sector. We need to be able to put people into an immersive experience. We need people to feel comfortable. We need, more importantly, groups of individuals. No one goes to entertainment facilities on their own unless they're sad individuals like myself who work in the sector. We are now at the cusp where the consumer VR industry is going through quite a considerable upturn, downturn, reorganization, restructure. The Apple entry into the sector, which isn't really VR but more MR, is causing more media interest, but also at the same time, people's perceptions of what VR offers is changing. When I'm presenting, especially to investors who don't really care about the technology but care about the whole cold hard facts, I have to break down the immersive entertainment market. So I say phase one, we've had the attractions that were immersive, we've had the VR attractions, the roller coasters, we've had now the arena scale, the free roaming applications, we're having mixed reality systems, which I'm not going to touch upon in this session, and then we have cross reality, XR. Trying to give you an overview. Virtual reality, you put a box on your head and it transports you into a virtual world. Mixed reality, you put a box on your head and you can see the world outside, but also it superimposes virtual objects and items on there. AR, it augments your vision of the real world. And reality is reality, but using the latest projection mapping technologies, we can create that synthetic world around the individual without the need for putting a head-mounted display on, without needing to put a backpack conceal. The metaverse, what a flunk that was. But we are in the metaverse business. It's interesting. We take digital and turn it into physical. We allow individuals to have entertainment experiences within purpose-built facilities, where everybody in the social media sector was trying to sell people that they could stay at home and have an immersive experience. Zuck's perception of what the metaverse was going to be, bullshit. What Super Nintendo World and Universal creates, reality. We have to be mindful of that. When we are creating immersive entertainment experiences, we are bringing that digital experience into a physical world. Not a new technology. The idea of dropping individuals into a virtual environment with an entertainment experience goes back some time as the technology improved. We've gone from the shooting experiences, the dome, enclosure experiences. We have been lucky enough to see profitable and successful applications of 4D theatres and interactive dark ride theatres that compel and draw the people in and offer that competitive entertainment experience that we were talking about earlier. We have also created virtual spaces for individuals to take part in, to entertain, and you will notice from a lot of the examples I'm going to fly up, they're physical experiences, they're the motion, they're the getting the people up and moving, they're not sedentary, they're not sitting on your butt all the time. We have started to see more and more digital entertainment experiences dropped into family entertainment centres, the interactive floors and the interactive wall systems. We have even seen digital escape rooms using screens and touch screens to replace the physical entertainment systems. And we have seen virtual reality start to pod itself, started to create its own boxes of entertainment systems. So rather than just having a free roaming system spread out across your facility, you have a mini attraction, a mini ticketed attraction in your facility. And it is this kind of crossover that an immersive enclosure system, the way I describe these systems, now offer that is proving very compelling. The Japanese have been looking at this technology for some time pre-COVID, and Taito started to develop the first of the immersive enclosure projection spaces, and they started to see that the audience was drawn in. People playing together within an immersive projection space proved very compelling, removing the need for the head-mounted display, removing the need for the backpack PC, making it a simple and easy to understand experience. Capcom had a go at mixing all the technologies. Why not mix a little bit of augmented reality with a little bit of virtual reality, with a little bit of mixed AI, interactive gun systems? And then the real momentum started. Immersive Gamebox is a company out of England that created enclosed space using tracked headset systems. You're wearing a cap with a tracker on it that represents your motion within a digital enclosure game, inside and outside entertainment. People, the audience, watching others inside having a fun digital experience. Another aspect of virtual reality. Virtual reality is very hard for the audience outside to see what those individuals are perceiving. With these mixed-use immersive enclosure systems, it is much more in your face, literally. We have seen our friends at VRACadeSummit, who presented yesterday, take that technology and use computer vision and place the individual literally into the game. It is that perception of seeing yourself represented in that game experience that proves highly compelling and highly physical. We have also seen companies now creating enclosure systems which are digital game experiences. We're very lucky to have our friends from Inowize here who are going to be coming up on stage and going into a little bit more detail of what they have achieved with their system. But we have now got audiences playing together within immersive enclosure systems. And the technology goes on. Dave & Buster's has just gone through the process of embracing competitive socializing and social entertainment. And one of the systems that they're dropping into their facilities is the arena, which is a mixture of a digital projected floor, interactive screens, physical props. And it is those physical props that also adds a new element to this entertainment. You don't just want to have the individuals touching screens, but the ability to throw balls or axes at the screen generates a much more compelling experience and offers a wider engagement level. Sports simulators, big. Projected screens, tracked balls, and you've got sports games turned into immersive entertainment experiences. And this is really a crossover into another aspect that we're seeing in the market that is showing great change, which is the application of competitive socializing. What we mean really is mixing booze and food and the digital entertainment experience into an overall adventure for the audience that is good for group entertainment. It is that food, cocktail, and play experience that is now coming from Europe and appearing in America that offers a new level of engagement, the next generation of entertainment. Dave & Buster's has pivoted towards incorporating a competitive socializing element to their mix. You will see a number of the new mini golf systems that incorporate technology in tracking of the ball, in touchscreens, in scoring, but also digital into physical. We can now have the audience play a game in a group and compete with each other in an environment that is tailor-made for that F&B component. If you're not into football, you can have cricket. If you're not into cricket, you can have baseball. It is that sports digital screen environment that is proving very strong and very interesting for an audience that wants more than just what they can achieve with their home console system. It is the golf simulator that can be turned into a lounge, that can also be turned into a much more laid-back experience than going to a shooting range or actually playing the real game of golf. It is the clay pigeon shooting experience where everybody can have fun. You don't have gun smoke blowing in your face. Everybody can have fun, cocktails with guns. A little bit easier than cocktails with sharp axes. And then we have the mass audience experiences. We are now seeing the game show turned into a digital environment that can be dropped into a facility. And then finally, if you've got projection mapping, if you have this kind of technology, why not turn go-karts into a digital immersive experience? You can now have your Mario Kart experience within a purpose-built facility space, and the roadway, the raceway, the course is digitally created. This is the future of our technology. We are painting our environments with light, not just with projection technology, but also with the latest display technology. And this is the kind of thing that I've been tracking a lot of going forwards. The virtual reality technology has brought in the gamification, the immersion, the high level of engagement, but it is also the new display technology. You know, we walk out the front of this facility and we see the sphere in front of us, which is a perfect example of the digital writ large in the real world. Any of you that are going to Area 15 will know that there's a luminarium there, which is again a digital projection environment facility. These are our future. Wearing a head-mounted display is one way to approach this, but looking at a digital immersive enclosure experience is what I perceive as the future and what many people are doubling down on as the future for the technology. I've given you a very quick overview of this because it's important that we listen to the panel who are actually dealing with this technology rather than just having to bang their heads against it. But what I need you as operators to take away from this is that it is an operation model. This technology needs to fit the requirements of the facilities. It's a revenue generator. It isn't a one-hit and you're done game experience. We're here to encourage them to come back, and that is where the competition comes from. It is compelling content. It's digital, so a game shouldn't be there for life, but swapped out, updated, latest intellectual properties added. And then finally, repeatability. The repeat visitation is important, but also the repeat enjoyment of the game experience is important. I've zipped through this very quickly. If you want to read more about this type of technology, grab a picture there of that link, and there are my details. If you have any questions, please contact me. But I think it's important that we get the panel up now.
So, you've met Kevin. Stefan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, awesome. Hello everyone, my name is Stefan and I'm the head of sales at Inowize. As Kevin very nicely mentioned, we are the company that develops and manufactures QBIX alongside a multiple line of different games and attractions. We started as a VR company and we are now expanding into the world of immersive enclosures. Very excited about the panel today and hope to bring everyone lots of value in what we are going to present here today. Thank you.
Next.
I'm Arthur Lord from Kamloops, British Columbia, and I'm an operator of an immersive box, which is QBIX as well. So I'm here to sort of give the operator perspective of kind of bringing on this new technology early, adopting it fairly early, and just giving my perspective of how that's gone so far.
Yeah, cool thing. And how big's your FEC?
9,000 square feet.
So
not
it's
big.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons I wanted your perspective, because we're going to hear from Pete Stearns too. Big enough, yeah. So, Pete, for those of you that don't know,
Pete Stearns, Dave & Buster's. I don't know what else you want me to say.
who's David Buster's?
So there were two guys. So
Two guys walked into a bar and an arcade. So I'm going to start with you, Pete. So you guys have developed a new concept for you called the Arena. Why don't you try to explain it to people?
sure, co-developed. So we actually handed this out, our idea out to a couple different companies. We ended up going with Conductor. They're based out of Manchester, England. Excellent group, do a lot of things in the theme park business. But, and we had this idea that we wanted to get away from wearables. We wanted to get away from labor that was either very good at what they did or not so good at what they did. So, and we wanted to keep it simple. So we know that, so we operate obviously 100, well, if you include main event, 220 locations. And that's social gaming, right? It's not gamers. So you have someone who walks in the door and is instantly confused because this is not their world. So what we knew is we had to make something that was easily accomplished from a play standpoint. Basketball, everyone probably has some form of basketball game in here, right? And my guess is it always performs, right? It always performs. There's a competitive level to it, right? But it's easy to understand. There's no thought to it. You just, oh, let me grab this and let me throw it. So we knew we wanted to have games that follow that pattern. So
It's really intuitive.
that has to be intuitive. You have 20 seconds for someone to really understand something, or else they're done. So we got together with Conductor, like I said, and probably spent about 6 months on just the gamified part of what we wanted to do. I think we started out at literally 120 different versions of play. And we got it down to, I think, right now we have 8, we'll soon have 12.
Different gameplay modes.
Different gameplay modes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so describe the system itself. What is it? For people that haven't seen it, because how many are out there now?
8.
8. So
8 for now, 10, well, 18 in the next probably 3 or 4 months. So Kevin had a picture of it up on the screen. If you haven't seen it yet, it's a 16 by 16 room, and it has a touch-sensitive LED flooring, and it also uses actually the same technology on the walls as well. The walls look very tactile, and we wanted that. They're not switches; they're the same as the floor, so it's very touch-sensitive. And so the gameplay is it's a glass room, so glass front, and depending on location, glass sides as well. And it's meant to so it's unattended. So the UI is a work in progress. So
unattended harder than it
is,
right?
Yes. So, but we knew that was our path, right? So we had a couple things wrong out of the box. The price was wrong. We thought we would sell it as like an event first. So say 50 minutes of play.
50-50.
50, yeah, 50. I lasted about 15 minutes before I was dying. It's like, yeah, I don't think this 50-minute thing's going to work. So now what we offer is a 30-minute experience, up to 8 people. So you can take your group in there. And the good thing about the UI is it takes all the guesswork out. So you put your names in, and the UI kind of tells you who's going, and it I'll say randomizes. Obviously, not everything is random in the world. So each different game, and it does a scorecard at the end of 30 minutes, and with that, there's obviously a food and beverage attachment that goes with it, which is great, right? That's what you want. So it's a good social, immersive platform, and that's what we wanted. We wanted social, and I don't think we didn't want wearables. So
Now you did, just stay on this for a second, you have the simulators, the VR simulators, you put out a lot of VR equipment.
2018.
In 2018, pre-pandemic, yep.
Yep.
And so, how are you viewing, and now moving into this non-wearable thing, we had a poll up there, and the last one is VR here to stay, and I don't know if you answered that one, but how are you feeling about virtual reality since now, you're making this big push into this gaming room? Does that mean the end of VR for you guys, or are you still considering it?
I don't think so. I think there's a place for VR. And look, I'll call props out to your buddy, Ben, the Arsenal, Raw Thrills. I think there's a place for arcade VR. I'm not a free roam type guy. I think there's just too much that has to go right to operate that. That's just not for us. So I think VR will be around for a little bit. But I think, as Kevin said, and even with our platform, he brought up our platform. So, by the end of 2026, we'll be out of our platform. And really it comes down to just, one, it looks rather dated now. So the industry is kind of caught up, and good for the industry, right? And the other thing is labor. So it takes labor to operate, and it's,
Cool. Thank you. Arthur, a little bit about what attractions do you run in your facility, and how do you view this segment, and what's your experience been so far?
All right, yeah, so I guess a little bit of history on our facility. We're 33 years in business. FEC, so we run laser tag, spindle bumper cars, mini bowling, arcade. And
Do you
then,
think this FEC thing's just a fad? Or?
I don't know if it's going to last.
So bumper cars, laser tag,
Yeah.
What else?
Big arcade.
Big arcade. Redemption Center.
Yep. No, of course. Yeah. And then we had a laser maze, Creative Works laser maze, and we had that for quite some time. So that was the one attraction that we had there for the longest. So we were looking for something to replace that. Something that was cutting edge. When we put the laser maze in, that was something that was interactive. It was something that the guests could actually physically go in and do. It was a spectacle of sorts, right? So that's why, coming to the shows, I was looking for something that would kind of fit a space like that. Something that was attendant free. That was pretty important to us. Something with incredible curb appeal, so people would walk up to it and just go like, "Holy shit!" That looks amazing. And for us, that's just the attraction aspect of it. So it brings our whole facility, so we're looking like a modern place. So that's kind of what we were looking for, and I stumbled across the QBIX at the trade show, and that really kind of piqued my interest.
And so, Stefan, we're going to come back and dive a little bit deeper. Stefan, you guys started out doing exclusively VR stuff for a long time. Arcadia Arena. You've experimented with some other platforms. What took you to moving beyond VR and you're using some VR technology in it, right? But what was the thought process behind developing more of a non-VR solution?
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you for the question. there's always a time for a company when they have to continue growing, and for us that translated in developing new games, new attractions. And when it came to developing QBIX, there were tons and months of R&D and investigations and analysis and looking at where the market is going to go, what does the market need right now. We knew and we had a firm idea about the fact that we want to develop an attraction for APCs. And surprisingly, in this time and age, whatever you develop for APCs has to be unattended. It's like the number one criteria. So that was extremely important for us. And at the same time, we didn't want to move away from our core value of a company that develops solid, immersive games, experiences, attractions. That was, and still is, the key component for us. And we were imagining a new attraction where you can literally walk inside and be in a different world, experience something completely different. It was extremely important for it to be social, to have the throughput required by an NPC, no matter the size, big or small, and to have at least 6 people that can play in it simultaneously. Right now it's maximum 6 people. We got to the concept of immersive enclosures because in many ways they were offering everything that was needed. A small footprint, which under 169 is actually very small for an attraction that hosts up to 6 people. And it gives us the unique advantage of creating unique games, let's call them like that. Everything is fully digital, and the players interact with games, with the environments using a controller, a HTC Vive Pro controller. This is one of the elements of virtual reality technology that we added inside QBIX. And it's simply limitless. We have games that offer the on-rail experience, shooting all kinds of things, moving from one environment to another. But at the same time, we are testing out a bunch of different things, bringing in elements of the real life inside QBIX, sticking to the core value of getting the players to a completely different world just by stepping inside.
Yeah, cool, thanks. Kevin, so you've done some work with Merlin and they've really put their weight behind Immersive Gamebox. Talk a little bit about what you're seeing from your point of view on the other side of the pond, and how is this sector developing from your perspective?
Merlin Entertainment, of course, run a number of theme parks. They're second largest of the entertainment facilities, and they've been dabbling with VR attractions and theme park applications. But they had concerns about the wearable, but they knew that their audience wanted immersive technology. And so the company, Immersive Gamebox, UK-based, had created their environment, and Merlin has jumped in with both feet to deploy this type of system.
So what's so who's playing this thing? So I'll stick with you, Pete. You've been running this in 6 locations now, I think, or 8 locations. Who's the customer, and any surprises there?
The good news is everyone. So I've seen a 65-year-old individual playing. I've seen 8-year-olds playing. So, and that's what we were going after. Dave Mustard says our core group is, play together young adults, right? That's who we market to. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that family is a huge part of that, right? So, and again, I'm beating a dead horse here. The games need to be intuitive so that they have far-reaching. If you go too gamer style, you're going to push the majority of the people that come in away.
Yeah. What's your so who's playing in QBIX at your place?
Yeah, and for us that was a very important thing, that we could have something that the parents could play with the kids. So their games aren't exactly child-oriented, and that was important for us. So we're seeing adults playing exclusively. And there are games that are sort of tailored exactly to that, but they're also kid-friendly just the same. So for us, it's the wide demographic. For parties, it's been amazing, because we have 6 kids in there, and it's an experience that they can't have elsewhere, and it's very simple, intuitive, and they know how to play it.
Are you bundling it into party packages?
Definitely, yeah. So we have what they call attraction passes, so they can choose between laser tag, bowling, bumper cars, any of those, and QBIX is considered one of those attractions.
Interesting.
And that's actually been very powerful and it's very interesting seeing what they choose, because they only get a certain amount depending on which package they choose. And QBIX has been one of the higher ones, especially for parties, just because it is something that's new and approachable.
Yeah, cool. How are you pricing? I think just pricing this. So I know you're selling a 30-minute session.
Yeah.
How are you pricing it? What are you learning in your pricing experimentations? Because I know price testing takes time.
Yeah, this is going to drive everybody in the room crazy. Probably you mostly, Kevin. So it's $5 per person for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'm crazy.
$9 on the weekend. And the reason why we do that is because we have capacity. So all you're selling is really time, right? So
When you say you have capacity, what does that mean in a sense?
at 30 minutes, so you get up to 8 people twice an hour, so 16 is the group. And during the week you have capacity. On the weekends you really don't have capacity, which is why the premium charged.
Yeah.
So it's not really an immersive game box, it's a cage. You're caging them in there so they keep the drink.
They can leave freely. They keep coming back. So because it's a good value, that's what we're striving for. I don't know if commercials over the last probably 3 weeks, we are bombarded with just deals. You see every fast food location right now is, $3 sandwiches, $2, $2.50.
Yeah, there's been a real price factor.
There's a macro event happening, right? So you have to realize that, and I know that 2022 was excellent for this industry. Even the back half of 2021, and there was a lot of price that was taken. So, and I think we're going to see a reverse of that.
Are you willing to talk about F&B attachment rates yet?
I can talk that it's good.
So that's the other thing.
It's better than we projected.
Yeah. So you're.
That just means we're really bad at projecting, I guess. Right?
Yeah. So you're getting them active. They're running around. They're working up a thirst. And so you've got other amenities that you can profit off of. And then the people because I noticed you were using at your first location. You were using Eventbrite to book in advance. What's your experience?
Eventbrite was with unencumbered, spot on with
Okay, yeah.
our current.
And what's and so are you booking in advance? And what percentage are...
They can be booked in advance. It's a lower percent right now still. We opened our first one about 4 months ago now. So, but we're starting to see some attachment to that.
Yeah.
I think that's where I think Topgolf has done a very good job of online reservations, right? But I think that's there's a very specific reason for that, and that's golf. So I think, and even the bowling industry, I think with the VRArcadeSummit coming on, I think they do a good job with online reservations.
Interesting about Topgolf owned by Callaway, and Callaway of course have created their own immersive enclosure golf simulation business. So it drives the food.
Yeah. The comment is, in a question, there's 10 years of VR content applicable to FECs. That could be questionable. We'll see. How much immersive room content is there, and where's the content coming from? And I think that's a really valid question. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to take that over. At the end of the day, there's not like a concept or an industry that develops games for immersive enclosures. It is generally manufacturers that develop that themselves. And in a solid way, the enclosure is developed based on the experience that PS manufacturers want to offer to guests in general. The games are coming from us. In Pete's case, they're coming from the company in Manchester. But it's not like a pool of options where games can be licensed from, at least not for now. But at the same time, probably Kevin might have a better view over this on a global scale.
Stefan, do you see this? Like, you know, I've heard a lot of people refer to QBIX as they love the platform. And do you see this, you know, obviously volume would require it, but is it something you would be open to third-party development if you get enough of them out there, or is this something you see holding kind of tight reins on?
Of course, it's always good to keep an eye out and to be open to any option, any possibility. Sometimes we even ask for work with other companies on certain elements, but I mean, there's not really a challenge. It's just the fact that each individual platform, or if we want to call them immersive enclosures, each one has its specific points, specific development needs, specific development borders, and whoever is going to develop needs to take those specific needs in mind, into account.
And there's a lot of experimentation going. You said how many games did you test, different game models and play mechanics?
It was over 100.
Over 100, and you guys, you know, released a few. Now you've got the new cooking game, which looks really interesting. Which is a totally, you built 4 games, and on the 5th one you went into a totally different direction by watching how people played the first ones and saying, we're underutilizing the physical movement. Let's get people moving more. And so I think this category, and I played the Ghostbusters game in Immersive Game Box, and I thought it was really weird. I had to move back, to move up, and move forward, to move down, and it was really counterintuitive actually, and at a certain point got a bit frustrating. And so I think it's an emerging market, and new game modalities and game mechanics are going to be developed over time.
Time for some standardization?
Some game development standards.
I mean, it's even more challenging as in both cases that we have here, these attractions are unattended, and making things simple might sound simple, but it's never simple. And getting those experience workable in an unattended environment, it's a challenge on its own.
I'm still uncomfortable with unattended. I like to say light touch attended, because these machines do need to have some human interaction with these groups. Social entertainment still requires some people involved in the loop.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You guys are all nodding. So, Arthur, what's your experience?
And that was it. When you brought that up, that was a good point, because when people do walk up to it, because it is a strange thing, they don't know exactly what this game is. So it's very helpful, and our team is very knowledgeable as far as detecting when people are unsure of it, and they'll actually go up to it, introduce the game to them, help them start. And once they started the first game, they get it right away. But I think that's a very important thing, is introducing your guests to that. You don't necessarily have to help them throughout the game, because it's very simple, but getting them started onto it, introducing
Across the threshold, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What's your experience then?
So I'll start with something recent. I'm a movie fan, right? I think probably most everyone is. Went to the movie theater to see Dune 2. I buy mine online through an app. All great, right? I'm going to get, I don't know what the average is, but I'm guessing it's higher and higher every year. But it really hit when I walked past the box office at the movie theater. It's just empty. So that's, and I bring this up because not everyone has an app, right? We have an app. The attachment rate is not great for it. So the first experience is a kiosk. And that's really unattended, right? And you can do kiosks everywhere now. McDonald's, which is still, I use them. It takes me 8 minutes to build a meal, but there's a reason why I use it, right? Because I want to see what they're doing right. Because I can tell you, we're doing some things wrong. So kiosks are that first form of unattended, and the UI, AI is becoming larger and larger, right? But that UI is just so important. It needs to be easy to understand. It needs to be quick. It needs to be leading, because we can say we want to give guests, customers, every choice in the world. That's the worst thing you can do to a guest is give them the freedom, because they'll stand there all day. It's like a rail ride. I mean, they'll just float up into space, and they'll be like, how do I get back down?
So can people self-serve with the arena, or do they have to check in and you get them started and then you walk away and leave them?
It's through the kiosk.
Yeah, okay.
So, but there is a way, we call it a concierge. Concierge takes you over and sets you up, and then servers take over food and beverage.
We've seen this across the board, that everybody originally thought that it was going to be totally self-service, the problems with the financial, the lack of employment or individuals' availability, and what's happened is we've got a middle ground now. We launch with a premium experience with a human being involved, and then when they've started, then the self-service or the limited service systems kick in.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of questions coming in around capital investment, ROI. You see some of the setup costs, profit margins. So let's talk about. And it is a proprietary system for you, Pete. So I'm not sure if you want to talk about what it costs to set up one of these things.
Nope.
Okay, cool.
Look, it's an investment. You have fear of early adoption up there. That's kind of spot on, right? Because you can do it's paralysis by analysis, right? Sometimes you just got to take a leap of faith on some of this stuff. You just have to make sure that you have to be into it, right? You have to know that you're buying something that's not going to pay off in months, like a typical arcade game.
But suffice it to say, and you're putting 2 rooms typically in one location, each location?
We started with 2, we'll have locations with 1 as well.
With 1, and suffice to say, it's a 6-figure investment. Fair enough?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And what do you expect? What's your ROI expectations around that? Or and how do you look at ROI? Because I think different people look at you guys look at things very, very differently.
We do. Typically, look, I would be lying to you if I said we didn't look at ROI on this, but we're chasing something that's larger than just ROI, and that's the leap of faith.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, fair enough. Arthur, whoever wants to answer this around QBIX, and there's another question about licensing costs and content costs, so maybe just kind of cover both of those at once, and then get into what your ROI expectations were going into it, and now that you've been operating it for a while, what you think you're going to get.
Yeah, I'll just be really quick. For us, it was the investment in adding another attraction, so it's sort of the whole encompassing of our facility. And ROI, exactly what it'll be, but it's fairly decent. And I'm investing in the future as well, so that's kind of what really this is about.
And so look, you've got mini bowling, you've got laser tag, you've got so that's what you've compared it to from an attraction standpoint, bumper cars. Is the ROI you think could be in the realm of those other attractions?
Definitely, yeah. It's holding its own with all of our other attractions for sure.
So thank you so much. Thanks for your great questions, by the way. Thanks for your attention. Give these guys a big hand for so much knowledge and experience.